Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Now I can hear you.
My apologies. I wasn't able to sign in via my computer, but it looks like we're able to do it now. Thank you for taking the time out, sir. I certainly appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. We just finished the docket, so yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I imagine you stay busy out there. Hey, before we go further, is it okay if we send a photog out to your courtroom tomorrow, take a picture so we can get that out of the way?
Tomorrow.
Or any day. I mean, whatever day works for you.
Well, tomorrow is our PCC day, and it is very busy in here, but
we'd be in. I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. We'd be in and out. It's just a matter of getting a shot of you on the bench so we can anchor. Oh, it's a layout issue on our end,
Got it. Yeah, tomorrow will work. Just if you could coordinate that with Miss Wheeling, I'd appreciate it.
Will do, sir. Thank you. Now, as I said in the
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, as I said in the email, I'm kind of taking a look at this issue. I mean, and that thing got a lot of yucks, I guess, in terms of the driver thing, and I guess there were some issues that came out that weren't quite true. We can get into that, but I mean, this is more than that. I mean, there's a lot of issues that pop up because you're streaming live now. Am I correct on that?
There are issues that arise, but I don't think people have their view of the different issues, but I don't see them as being huge issues. But I guess it would be how one views the world and how the world communicates, that people just have their different views of what should happen.
Yeah.
So
now this particular case, that kind of did a little bit of a wind up after it blew up, correct? How did that come out?
Can I just say, and we might have to stop because I am very hesitant to discuss Mr. Harris's case, and my reasons for it are not because I don't have certainly things to say, but that case is still pending before
Gotcha. Oh, okay.
And doesn't conclude may conclude on the 7th of August. And so I've had numerous requests, as you can imagine, for people to talk to me about that case, and I just have not talked about that case directly. And I don't think it would be fair to Mr. Harris. I don't think it would be fair to the people of Pittsfield, and I think my judicial canons also prevent me from doing so.
No, of course not. Okay, I got you. In terms of you say the problems. So I know you guys are busy out there too, and I've heard that for a lot of these, it just saves so much time. I mean, could you talk about what's the realities now that people are streaming? What that has done for your docket?
Well, there are two parts to this really, and a lot of people don't understand it, but one is the technology involved in how people access the courtroom. And then there's the streaming portion of it, where it's then broadcast to the world. And they're really two separate parts. The saving of time really comes in how people access the courtroom and how, come in. To me, the pandemic caused a lot of problems. But out of those problems and those challenges, if we're smart, we can take pieces of that to help make our system more efficient. And I think with the Zoom aspect of it, the access to the courtroom, we've done some smart things. And I say it this way, normally, particularly for district courts, we're dealing with people, they're out living their lives, they've got their jobs, they've got this, they picked up a case, whatever it is. And for them to take a day off of work to come down and sit in a courtroom for 2-3 hours for what may be a 5-minute hearing and might be an adjournment of a proceeding and miss work, interrupt their lives, it makes no sense. So in that respect, that is a great thing, I think, that has come out of it. The streaming aspect of it gets a little bit more complicated, but think the streaming aspect of it really opens up our courts so that people can see exactly what we do. I have just not been one. I've been on the bench 25 years almost, and I you know, I don't want to hide what I do. I don't want to hide what goes on in the courtroom. I think people should know. I think our whole system is really predicated upon the notion that, it's open to the public and the public is entitled to see what we do. There are those who, I guess, have the view that what may happen in a courtroom embarrasses somebody. Well, except when there's statutory justification to close a courtroom, our courtrooms are open.
Yeah.
And so people ought to be able to see what happens in the courtroom. They ought to be able to see those cases. I don't, none of it is meant to put somebody in a circumstance where they're embarrassed or that. But the reality is anybody could walk in, they could see exactly what happens if they're going to sit there. And so maybe it's the ease of it streaming that is the problem. I am, just philosophically speaking, I would prefer that people know what's happening in our courts, because I think in a lot of ways, the hardworking judges of the state get the short end by people not seeing what we do. People make up what we do.
Yeah.
They think that what we do is we just want to send people to jail. We want to do this and that. And, I'm not everywhere, so I don't know what goes on everywhere. But when I'm able to see my colleagues around the state and see certainly my colleagues in the county, that is not what we are sitting here trying to do. And people can get, I think, when they can see it, at least a portion of it, and from a certain point of view, they can begin to see really what happens. Why somebody's maybe going to jail, what really is the story with that person. So,
yeah. Now, you've had a couple of these cases blow up. My wife, full disclosure, watches all those Dan Abrams courtroom TV. And I've seen on there a couple times because I covered the case with the transgender woman who wanted her testicles back. And then she came before you in a thing. And I'm not getting into that, I promise you, where you said, sir, and then you apologized and you kind of chided her. Look, I know you remember that. But there was some that went on TV independent of that I've seen you. And I'm like, I remember that, Judge. And this was before that. Do you remember what those ones were?
That came on before. I don't watch a lot of social media. So when they come out, and people bring them out for various reasons. Yeah. The woman, the transgender woman, that was a circumstance where actually we had been getting along just fine. There wasn't really an issue. I required her to do something, and I don't think she wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And, and it was one of those things where I said the wrong thing. I apologized. At that point, it's then up to her to either accept my apology or not.
And I'm not even getting into that in my story. I promise you, that's a sidetrack. Okay. Not even worth going into. It's not. That's not what I'm about. But I think